Hey, this is Mike with the Benzo Effect channel. Welcome back, guys. Hope everybody's doing great today. This is going to be a car install tutorial for GTA 5. Now, you can use this in story mode as well, but for those that play LSPDFR, I think this tutorial is going to be invaluable because it's going to help you a little bit with texture loss. And we're going to install 2 car packs in today's video. If this video helps you in any way, be sure to hit the like button. And if you're brand new to the channel, feel like subscribing, we'd love to have you over here. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to pull up our main game directory, and this is where your GTA 5 is located at. Now, some of these files are going to be RAR files. Now, they'll all look like a set of books right now because I have WinRAR installed. If you do not have WinRAR or 7-zip or a program like that, you may not be able to open all of these files. So go to Google, type in WinRAR for free or 7-zip for free, and then you'll be able to install this pretty easy. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is texture loss. A lot of people get texture loss with GTA 5, and what we want to do is if you have LSPDFR installed, go up here to your folder called LSPDFR, go ahead and click on that, and then click on a file called LSPDFR. It is a config file. You might see the word LSPDFR INI, and we're going to double click that, and it should open in Notepad. If it doesn't open in Notepad, you're going to right click, you're going to go to Open With, and you're going to find your Notepad program. The very first thing you want to do is when you open this, is the very top file right here. I'm not sure why they have it set as default as true. So when you install LSPDFR for the first time, and maybe this is the way yours is set up now, it may say true. That needs to say false. And when it says false, go ahead and save it right there. We're going to back this up to the main game directory. And the very first thing you want to do, this is something I never spoke about with my YouTube channel. It came out about a year ago. It's called GTA Resource Adjuster. What that does, it helps allocate memory for your gameplay. So what you want to do is open this file right here. And then there's going to be another file right here. Just go ahead and open this up. And you're going to take the Resource Adjuster INI and then the GTA Resource Adjuster ASI. And we're going to install those. You don't really need the README, but you're going to pull this right into the main game directory. I already have it installed, but I'm going to go ahead and replace it. That's perfectly fine. But you may be installing it for the first time. And so you would just drop it in right there into the main game directory. And then the next step is going to be the ELS. That is otherwise known as the Emergency Lighting System for your police vehicles. So we're going to open this up. Now, this is a RAR file. So you'll notice right here, if you can't open that, once again, go to Google, type in WinRAR for free, and you'll be able to get that. So my advice is go to the installation files and go ahead and open this up, and then go to Grand Theft Auto 5. And then notice this is the Grand Theft Auto 5 right here. This is your main game directory. You're going to take all of these files, including the folder, and you're going to drag and drop it right into your main game directory. I already have this installed, but for the sake of today's video, I'll go ahead and reinstall it perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and replace. And you just installed ELS. Now, another bit of advice, I'm not going to go through it because it makes the video too long, is go to the documentation folder in case you're curious what the keys are to make ELS work, how to make those work for your controller, as well as, for your keyboard and whatnot. It's all covered in these files. So I'm not going to go through all that detail because it makes the video way too long. So just take a look at that, guys. It'll tell you the exact controls to get the lights to function for your vehicle. Now, the next step is going to be open. This right here is called Increase Environmental Lighting. This one here is optional. You don't have to install this one. However, if you like the reflection off your emergency lighting system, the lights that get reflected onto buildings and rocks and pavements and things like that, you'll probably want to get this file right here. Highly recommend it. So we're going to go to Increase Environmental Lighting, and then you can have a choice of what you want to install. You can go to Bright or this one right here. Probably the Bright plus Reduced Traffic Advisor is probably recommended, is the one that I would go. Now you can go ahead and click on this right here and then take this INI, this ELS, and you're going to drag and drop it right into your main game directory. And you'll notice it'll say to overwrite your file, the ELS INI that we just installed, and you want to go ahead and say replace that. But you can experiment with these other ones and see if that works well for you. The next step is script hook. So we're going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to have a bin folder, and it's going to have a denput 8 and a script hook B. You do not need this trainer right here. I highly advise you probably not to install this one. Most of us use, I think they do the modding for LSPDFR, and for the most part, we usually use Simple Trainer anyway, but you can always find that link pretty easy. But this video is not about trainers. We're going to grab these 2 files right here, and we're going to slip it right into the main game directory, and we're going to let it overwrite. And then also note all the links are going to be provided is the updated links for GTA 5 and also LSPDFR. Everything that's included in this video is going to have updated links. Now, all the next steps are going to be involved with going into the mods folder. But if you look at your main game directory, you may not have a mods folder. I have one right here. I made a copy of it. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to make a new one. So you may not have a mods folder. What you want to do is go to the blank space, right click, go to new, make a new folder. We're going to call it mods, M-O-D-S. Now, what I'm about to show you is going to save you a ton of disk space or your Grand Theft Auto 5, so you don't have to copy the entire update folder into the mods folder like I used to teach people how to do. You know, disk space is very precious to us, right? So I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how to get just what you need into the mods folder in order to get the vehicles in there. But you're going to notice a file called ELS. We'll talk about that file in just a moment. But for now, we're going to reduce this file and we're going to pull up a program called Open4. Now you can call it OpenIV. According to developers, you can say OpenIV or Open4. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to call it Open4. Now about the Open4 program, now from my understanding, I just went to the website, OpenIV.com, and I do believe the website is finally back up. It was down for like over 5 months due to the, from my understanding, had to do with the war between Ukraine and Russia. I may be wrong on that, but I think the author of the mod lives in Russia, and so there was a lot of issues there with getting the website to work. But just in case in the future, if you're watching this, you know, maybe a year from now, if it goes down again, you're going to have two options right here. Now, both of these are going to be linked down below, and just in case you need them in the future, in case the website goes down, the top one's going to be more for a mirrored site. That way you can get that installed. But if you're having difficulty installing the mirrored site, then you can go down here and get the offline version of the Open4 program. Now, you probably don't need to install these from here, the links I'm going to give you, because I'm going to give you the link for the OpenIV.com website. So I would get it from there first, because it looks like the website is working. But like I said, just in case the website goes down, you'll have two other options that you can install Open4. So when you pull up Open4 for the first time, if you're not used to doing all this, then this part here is crucial. In order to get the cars to spawn into the game, you need to have your ASI managers installed correctly. So make sure you go to Tools and then go to ASI Manager. And then you want to make sure these are in green. So if they're in blue, I'm going to show you what they look like. This is how easy it is to uninstall them, by the way. So you want to make sure this one here is installed, the ASI loader, the Open4.ASI is installed. This one here is optional. However, if you work with Rockstar Editor or if you plan to, you want to go ahead and do like I do and just install all three of these. So with that being said, let's move on to the next part. Now for the next step, if you go to the mods folder, mine is completely empty at the moment, and I did that on purpose. So what we're going to do is only pull what we need into the mods folder to save ourselves a lot of disk space. So what you want to do is make sure edit mode is completely off for now. This is a little trick that I've learned over the years. So make sure it's completely turned off. You want to come down here to this folder here called update. Now everybody has that. If you don't have that, then that means you don't have GTA 5 installed at all, or you're not looking in the right spot because it might be down here. So make sure you click on update, go to times 64, and then go to DLC packs, and you'll see all of your DLC packs here, which is the core game of GTA 5. And for me, it goes all the way down to patch day 28. Now, I did not update my game for the last probably a couple of months, and it doesn't really matter for this tutorial for this video, because those of you that are watching this video right now may be on patch day 35 or 40, who knows, because you know how Rockstar is with their updates. So the main tip that you can take away from all this is the later the patch day, the better, but it doesn't always have to be the latest patch day in order for the vehicles to be installed correctly. So for example, even though I'm on patch day 28, I can still install these in patch day 24. So the tutorial that I made a couple of years ago still works, but people want to see an updated tutorial as if it's going to make a difference. It makes no difference. It needs to be a later patch day. Is perfectly fine. If I wanted to, I could install it there. So that just kind of goes to show you that if you're on patch day 35 when you're watching this video, just realize you could use patch day 28, just like I'm using right now. So we're going to go ahead and click on patch day 28, and we're going to go to DLC RPF. And now here's the trick, is we want to get this into the mods folder, and this part is extremely crucial, otherwise you'll screw up your game. So click on edit mode at the very top, and then say yes. And you'll notice the Open4 program has put a large red flag up here saying that we're not inside the mods folder. Now, they do that on purpose because they don't want you to screw up your game. So we want to work only in the mods folder. So we're going to say copy to mods folder. Now, if you have patch day 28, it may just say show in mods folder. So now we're inside the patch day 28. And let me expand this so you can see it better. You'll see GTA 5 mods update 64 DLC packs and patch day 28. And right now, I'm inside the DLC.rpf. So now let's dive deeper in here. Let's go to times 64, and notice we're inside the mods folder right here. And we're gonna go to levels, and then GTA 5 right here. Go to this one, and then you'll see vehicles. So when you click on vehicles, and you'll see all your vehicles right here that are car models based on the core game of GTA 5. So let's go ahead and do this first before you do anything else. Let's make this a favorite, because what if you want to take out the cars later? What if you want to replace the cars at another time? Let's go ahead and go to favorites, go to add to favorites right here. And you can call it anything you want, but I would not call it vehicles.rpf. You could say something like this, car install here. Something really simple that's very eye-catching. That way you know exactly where your vehicles are. And then just click on add. And to kind of show you what it looks like, if you are anywhere in your mods folder, it doesn't really matter. Say if you just opened up Open4, and now you want to install a car pack, just go to favorites, right here, patch day 28, car install here, boom. Now to save you even more disk space, if you want to do this, we don't really need these cars here, because remember, these are the core game files that is already inside your update folder that is outside of your mods folder, if that makes sense. To make things look real clean, how about we just delete them out? We don't really need them. There you go. Just make sure that you are in your mods folder. Otherwise, you can mess up your game. Always work in the mods folder. Okay, now let's put this back to the side, and this is where we want to be when we're installing the car models. So let's pull up the first car pack right here. It's called LSPD. It's a Houston police pack. At least it's Los Santos lore, but you'll get the gist if you want to install other car packs in the future. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. And now here's the trick with Open4 is it has some issues about transferring files from zip files and RAR files and all that stuff. It has to do with permissions and Windows, things like that. This is going to help a lot of you immensely, what I'm about to show you. So let's take this folder that came with this download and let's move it onto the desktop. You could also do extract too if you wanted to. And we're going to work with just this folder right here. It's the same folder. All right, let's open this folder, see what we got. So you'll notice there's a lot of different folders here, but in this particular car pack, there is folders among subfolders. And so what he did was he labeled it Crown Vic. Well, he doesn't give you just one. He gave you several different kinds of Crown Vics to choose from. And in order to look at these, you could probably install them and then go through the model viewer, which we'll probably do in just a minute, but you can do it other ways too. But this is the best way to do it, is just kind of pick and choose what you think may look good, and we'll go from there. So like say if we want to install just this one right here, and you'll notice that there is a police, it's a YOT file, there's a police YTD file, and a police _hi YFT file. Now I already know what's going through your head. Your icons may not look like mine, don't worry about it. What I did was I found a file like a YFT file. It was on my desktop. And what I did was I right-clicked and I went open with, I went to choose another app, and then I found my Open4 program, and then I said always to open it up. You don't have to do that, by the way. Yours may look like a plain white piece of paper. Don't let that worry you. But you'll notice one file up here in particular. It's an XML file. This is the ELS file, what I was talking about earlier, and we'll install that in just a moment. Now you may have other vehicle files that you install in the future. It may say +hi. You probably should install those. But for the sake of this vehicle, it only has 3 files, but yours may have 4. So we're going to pull this into here. But notice it gets transferred really smooth with edit mode being on and with it being on the desktop in a folder. It's not being pulled from a zip file or a RAR file. So it makes transferring files a hell of a lot easier. All right, now we got the first vehicle installed right there. Now I do want to tell you about the 25 megabyte hard limit imposed by Rockstar. So Rockstar Games has a hard limit set at 25 megabytes roughly of what you can use for a vehicle, even if you have a really high-end PC, a fancy graphics card, and if you install another vehicle in the future that has an extremely high amount of megabytes for a YTD file, and then all these other files with that vehicle, if it's over the 25 megabytes, then you may start incurring, some more texture loss. Now, I do have a video that is on my Patreon account. I'm not trying to sell it, but I have my Patreon set at $1, by the way. If you want to take a look at that, you can do that. And I help people lower their textures so that you don't even notice the difference. But it falls below that 25 megabyte hard limit imposed by Rockstar. And that way you have a really nice frames for your game and a really nice gameplay session. So that's something to think about. We're going to move on to the ELS for this particular vehicle really fast. And we're going to go ahead and get that into Open4. And the easiest way to do that is find your ELS that is inside your Open4. And notice there's an ELS folder right up here, right there. And if you go to pack_default, it is right there. Now you won't have all these other files. I apologize. I meant to take these out. You may just have like a police.xml, perfectly fine. So we want to get this into Open4. I found it easier to just, throw it into Open4. But if you want to pull up, remember that file I was talking about earlier, right here, this is your main game directory. It's the same way of pulling this up and then opening this. Like I said, pretend these are not here, and then taking the file and moving it over here. So if I did that, it would say replace. That's perfectly fine because we're going folder to folder. But what if we're inside Open4? What if we want to make this a favorite as well? This is what I would suggest that you do, is we're inside the GTA5, ELS, pack_default. Say this is a favorite. It's a very small pathway, but you'll thank me later because when you're installing new vehicles, you're going to want this as easy as possible. So I'm going to say ELS files here, and we'll say add. So once again, if you're just like right there, you're in mods, and you want to throw in a ELS file really fast, go to favorites. We're going to go to ELS files here, and you'll go right there. Take that file, make sure edit mode's on, and drag it right in here. Now notice there's not going to say anything about replacing a file. So Open4 is very unforgiving when it comes to that. So just be aware of that. Now we're going to go back to the patch day 28 for the vehicles. Remember, we already had that saved as a favorite, and we're right there. So we installed the ELS for that vehicle. Now let's take a look what the vehicle looks like. You can click on a YFT right up here. We're going to double click that, and we're going to see what the vehicle looks like. This is a model viewer, and you can move it around just like this, and you can zoom in a little bit. But this is very reminiscent of the Houston area, the liveries and whatnot. So it looks pretty nice and clean in here. And so that's what that particular vehicle looks like. But what if you wanted to replace it with the other vehicles, maybe a different light bar, for example? Let's back it up. And how about we do a Crown Vic Freedom Classic livery? Let's see what that looks like. We'll just take these files and we'll throw it in here. And now let's take a look. This is a classic livery right here. So more of a white with a little bit of blue. Let's see what the Vic Liberty looks like. Take these 3 files, throw it in here. Notice the kilobytes change. And you'll notice that we're kind of pushing that 25 megabyte hard limit. Perfectly fine for now. If it's a 26, 27 megabytes, perfectly fine. It's not going to make a big difference. We're going to double click this. And you'll notice that this light bar is actually, in my opinion, I think a little bit better. It just changes the light bar graphics. So we'll go ahead and X out of that. And pretty much the XML would be probably the same. But just in case, let's go ahead and install that one as well. Go down here to ELS, police vehicle right here. Let's go ahead and throw that in here just in case. I doubt it's going to make a big difference. But since it's a different light bar, it might. All right, now we're going to go ahead and go back to the vehicles again. That's why having it a favorite is really so invaluable. You want to get back to Open4 where the vehicles are pretty fast. So now let's back this up. If you really want to see what the select top version looks like, I'll just show you really fast. So this is a place 4. So let's go ahead and install this one. So now we have a place and a place 4. So I might as well, right? So this is what the place 4 looks like. Actually, that's nice. I like it. Yeah, this will be in the highways. But maybe you have a different one, that you want for your highway division, maybe it's a Charger or something like that. That looks a little bit more for a highway, suitable highway. But this one's nice. All right, now let's go ahead and do the place 4. Remember, this is the ELS file, right? So we're gonna go back here again. There's a lot of jumping around, I apologize, but it works better this way. Take it like this, throw that in there. And now we're gonna back it up again. And now we're gonna talk about these other vehicles here. So over to the left, just to recap, we have a police and we have a police 4 slot already filled into our arsenal of police vehicles, okay? So we want to fill the police 2 and the police 3 as well. So if you look to the right right here, he gave you some more choices to go with. We have a 2020 FPIU, and which I would probably install this one. You can install any one you want. And we also have the Tahoe. But say if we open the Tahoe, for example, I'm just going to show you what they look like. You remember we went with the Liberty for the Crown Vic. So if we go with the 2014 Tahoe Liberty, I notice it's a police slot. And so you could rename this if you feel like it, because it'll replace this one. We don't want to do that. So we could rename this, and I'll show you how to do it in just a second. But we want to make sure we are coordinated. And so let's go back again. And then what if we want to do the 2020 FPIU? So that's Explorer. If we open this, and now it's a place 3 slot. So we know that this one will go in the place 3 slot. So we'll go ahead and install this one first, and then I'll show you what to do with the Tahoe in just a moment. So we're going to take, this one here has a plus high slot, by the way. So we're going to take all 4 of these files, and we're going to push it right into Open4, and we're going to let it drop. So now we have a place, we have a place 4 and a place 3. So we're missing the place 2, which we'll talk about in just a minute. This is what the place 3 looks like with the Weston push bar. Oh, that's pretty cool. It looks like paint is dripping or something like that. And you don't have to use this pack. You could always use a different pack. This is just showing you how to get the vehicles in the game. So maybe we'll go with this one as the police 3, and then here's the Weston push bar. So we need to get the police 3. That's an XML. Remember, it's the ELS file. It tells the lights how to flash. So we're going to go to favorites, and we're going to go to ELS files here, and we're going to take this file and throw it into Open4. So now let's go back to vehicles, go back to favorites, and go to patch day 28 car install. And now we're back to this spot. Let's back this up. And I would go through all these vehicles, but you guys can probably get the gist of all this, and you can get an idea and install these, and then you click on them, see what they look like. So we're gonna make the video go a little bit faster here. So we have the 2014, and we can go with the Liberty perfectly fine. So if we go to 2014 Liberty, and once again, it is named Police, but we really need it in the Police 2 slot. Well, to remedy that is we'll take the Police right here, and then we're going to press F2 on the keyboard, and we're going to say Police 2. We're going to add a 2 at the end of that. Same with this one right here. Click right there, press F2 so you can rename it, and then press the 2. And then one more, to be really careful with this one, press F2, and you're going to put the 2 right here, not back here. So now we have a Police 2 slot, and we'll talk about the handling ID in just a minute. We're going to take these files right here, and we're going to pull it right into Open4 and let it fall. Now, one more thing we're going to do is this Police right here, it needs to coincide with the vehicle name. So once again, just name it Police 2. And that's how you do that. Go to favorites, go to ELS files, and we're going to take this Police 2 and drop it right in here at Open4. Let's go back to vehicle models, and let's just check out what the Police 2 slot looks like now. And click right there, and this is what it looks like. The 14 models are not bad. They're a little bulky, to be honest. They're a little bit fat-bodied, in my opinion, but I still like them. Now we're going to talk about the sheriff vehicles now. We're going to talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and exit out of this. And we're done with the LSPD Houston Police Pack for the Police 2, Police 3, and Police 4. So we're going to go ahead and install the Sheriff Pack now. We're going to go a little bit faster since you probably are getting the hang of this. And then we'll talk about the Better Radiance to make the lights look better in just a minute. And we're going to talk about the vehicle meta file as well. And we're going to make a correction to one of the handling IDs. So let's go ahead and go to the HCSO, which is the Harris County Sheriff Office Pack. And it looks almost identical to the real life Harris County in Texas. And these are going to be Los Santos lore. So once again, get in the habit of taking this, drag it onto the desktop. That way it gets transferred files a little bit easier. So now let's open up the HCSO pack, and you'll probably get the hang of this pretty fast. And he does provide some templates if you're really into making a livery, and it'll give you the layout, what the livery is supposed to look like. So let's open up the HCSO Sheriff Pack, and we have an FBIS, which is going to go Sheriff. You can see right there. There's the FBIU, and then there's the Sheriff 2 rather, and then here's the Ghost livery. If you want to do a slick top, that could be FBI. Maybe we'll throw that in there in the FBI. We'll back it up. Here's a Tahoe, and that's the Sheriff 2 as well. And we'll do the FBIS first, and we'll take all 4 of these files, and we'll throw it into Open4. That's not bad. This is one of the FBISs. But it's really remarkable how much it looks like the Harris County. Pretty cool, right? And once again, since you're getting the hang of this, we're going to install this ELS as well. And we're going to go a little bit faster now. Let's see what this one here looks like. This is the Legacy right here. Looks like the light bar changed. Really nice. I love the light bar in this one. Yeah, I like this one probably a little bit better. So we'll stick with the Legacy on this one. Notice the FBIS Legacy. It doesn't have a ELS file because it's the same thing as the other one. You don't really need to have that particular ELS file. So you don't really need to install that one for this one, if that makes sense. Now this folder right here, if you click on this, it has a Ghost Slick Top right here. If you're interested, you could go ahead and do what I'm about to show you. However, you may not want this in the FBI slot. Perfectly fine to rename this to something else if you want. But if you want to, maybe make this as a highway, you could do Police 4, like what we did earlier. But if you want to do this in the FBI slot, might as well. We're going to throw that in there as well. And this is what the FBI looks like. So it'll be more of a sheriff style, livery, ghost livery. Pretty nice. I like it. One thing in particular about Open4, I forgot to mention, this is really common to see a wheel missing, and sometimes they're way out there. This is just a model viewer to give you a rough representation of what the vehicle looks like. Don't let this worry you like you did something wrong. Perfectly normal. And now let's install the ELS. A lot of bouncing around here, but it's better to do it this way so that way you don't forget to install it. And we're going to go back to the model for the patch day 28. And now if we wanted to, we could do the FBIU in the Sheriff 2 slot. If you want to go to the Tahoe, you can always install this one too in the Sheriff 2 slot, which is probably what I'm going to do right now. So we're going to go ahead and install this one right here and grab all 4 of these files and drag this into Open4. And here's what the Sheriff 2 looks like right here. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like this one. And then we want to get that Sheriff 2 as well into ELS. Take this, drag it in here. Okay, and to wrap up the vehicle model install that we just did, we have the Police 2, Police 3, Police 4, and then we have Sheriff and Sheriff 2 and an FBI slot already filled in here. Now you can also do FBI 2 You could also do Park Ranger, which is P Ranger, and you could also do the police bike as well. So those are some more options that are considered replaced vehicles that would be patrolling naturally with you throughout the city or even county. So now let's talk about the graphics part really fast, and that is how to get the lights brighter, how to get the lights to be more vivid, and otherwise it will not work correctly and you'll have a kind of a dull police light bar. So even if you installed a graphics pack, maybe besides NVE, that's a little bit different. But if you installed like Visual V or Visual Vanilla, things like that, if you installed that, you still need to come back afterwards and install a visual enhancer, like for example, Better Radiance. So Better Radiance has a pretty decent visual setting, and we're going to talk about that now and how to get it into your game. Now, I'm not really a big fan of Radiance V. It's another visual enhancer, for your police lights. It looks way too bright. So we're going to go ahead and drag this right here and pull this onto the desktop. We're going to take this folder. Let's go ahead and open this up, see what it looks like. And you can probably do it right here. This one's probably better, is the Better Radiance Brighter Day Police Lights. However, if you have Visual V installed, the graphics mod, you'll want to go probably with this one right here, a Better Radiance version 3 for Visual V. So I don't have Visual V installed. I have NVE installed. So I'm just showing you guys how to install it if you have these other graphics mods. So let's pretend that you have maybe Visual Vanilla. Maybe you might could probably still grab this one. But for the sake of argument, we're just going to grab this one for now. But you can experiment with the other ones if you wish. We're going to grab this and we're going to get this into Open 4. So I'm going to show you where it goes. A little trick of the trade is turn off edit mode once again. Let's turn it off and let's back up a little bit. And we're going to go back down to the update folder down here. So let's go to update. And you're going to click on this file right here called update RPF. Click right there. Then you're going to go to common and then data. And your visual setting is going to be right there. But don't replace this one. The very first thing you want to do is turn edit mode on. Turn edit mode on and say yes. Notice it's going to get flagged because it's not inside. We're not inside the mods folder yet. So once again, copy to mods folder. If you already have this pathway, it'll probably say show in mods folder. For those of us that do not have this file in there or that pathway, we're going to click on copy to mods folder. So now you'll notice we're inside the mods folder with the mods folder, update RPF, common, and data. And it's that file right there. And we're going to make sure edit mode is on, and you're going to pull from that folder and you're going to replace it right here. Now, I already have this installed. I don't want to replace my other one, but that's how you do it. You just drag and drop it right into there. And you'll probably notice the kilobytes change, and also the word encrypted will disappear when you do that. And that'll work for your visual enhancers to get the lights to look a little bit better. Now, one thing we're going to give you a little tip on inside the game, which I'll show you in just a minute, is how to make sure that they're not dull and how they stay dull. And one little trick of the trade is a vehicle meta file, which we need to install as well. Because you remember those packs that we just installed? For example, the LSPD pack. If you open any of these files, it doesn't really matter. But notice there's no vehicle meta file. There's nothing there. Even right here, there's no vehicle meta files anywhere. So I'm kind of glad I'm showing you this because I'm going to show you a little cool trick that will come with this download. It's called higher and lower LOD fix. And what LODs mean is that it keeps the vehicles from disappearing on you at a certain distance, like what you're seeing on the video right here. Can't stand that. And then also it'll keep the lights from floating above your vehicle from maybe you're a couple 100 feet away. It'll keep that from happening as well. This will be more of a permanent fix, and then it'll also take out the tint off your windows and light bars, so that way you can get that real vivid lights that you always wanted. So that is called the higher and lower increased LOD draw distance. So it'll increase those draw distance for you. You can do like I do and use this as a base vehicle meta file for any future vehicles that you plan on installing. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, when you open this RAR file, you're going to see two folders. There's a high-end PC users and there's a low-end PC users. So just a little bit of advice, more is not always better when it comes to modding. So I have a really good high-end PC personally, and I decided not to use the high-end one. Why stress out my computer even more, right? I found that the low-end PC worked perfectly fine. So I would advise you to probably go with the low-end one. But if you're really confident, you got a really, really fancy computer, from NASA or something like that, then you probably want to go with the high-end. But for those of us that are just not quite sure, I would go with the low-end PC users, as it would work perfectly fine. We're going to drag this onto the desktop. So let's open up the low-end PC user one. And you'll notice there's several different files right here. And you'll notice right away, he gave you the original right back here, just in case something breaks or something's wrong. or if you're not happy with it, which I think you will be personally, he gave you a backup copy of that. I really like when modders do that. And then he gave you other options here to choose from. I would probably go with this one right here. Is the lower increase in visible modded cars and wheels, for example, at a distance, and plus the LODs fixed. That is the wheels. Sometimes it will disappear at a distance. And then also a big thing with modding these cars is that some of these, the car modders themselves will forget to take the tint off of the vehicles themselves and the light bars, which would result in a dull light bar no matter what you do. So this right here fixes that. So there's no more tinted police emergency lights as well as the vehicle, the vehicles themselves. It'll take the tint off the windows. But here's the cool part. What this author does even more is if you dive in here, notice he gives you the pathway already. So we're going to go to this pathway in just a minute, which I'll show you. So it's going to be mods. There's going to be an update. There's going to be an update RPF. There's going to be a common, and then a data, and then levels. It seems like a very long pathway, so I'm going to kind of guide you through it. You can see how long that pathway is. So you can see the pathway right there. We're going to get this into the mods folder, but remember, we may not even have it in the mods folder yet. So let's take off the edit mode, completely turned it off. Let's get out of the mods folder first. Let's go to update. Let's go to update RPF. Make sure edit mode's off, by the way. Update RPF. We're going to go, and I'm reading right here how to do it. Common, data, levels, GTA 5. And your vehicle meta file is going to be right there. But remember, don't replace this one. Turn edit mode on now. And say yes. And this case already had the pathway, and you probably already did it as well when you replace, duplicate probably the visual settings more than likely. Let's go ahead and go to show in mods folder. This is just a good way to get, that particular pathway into your mods folder safely and securely, so that we don't have to copy the entire folder, all the elements of all your DLC packs in there, which will save you a crap load of disk space. So now we are back in the vehicles meta file. We want to be able to change this file later. And you know what's coming next? Let's add this as a favorite. Go to favorites, add to favorites. We're going to call this vehicle meta file here, just like this. And we're going to say add, because undoubtedly you're going to need to come back here again, maybe to change a handling ID or something like that. So just kind of be aware of that. So this is the meta file that we're going to replace. And we're going to take this and we're going to drag this right into Open4. And you're going to see the encrypted disappear. And you might see a very slight kilobyte change, very possibly. Just to show you a little bit of change took place, and you may not even see it at all, but you'll notice the encrypted word disappear. So now that is installed, and we're going to talk about one more thing, and then the video is almost done. Now we're going to make some changes to this vehicle meta file, but first we need to have something like a visual representation as to what we're changing. So let's go back to favorites first. Let's go back to our patch day 28. Remember where all your cars are installed? And let's take a look at the vehicles. Now the police slot is going to be fine. That is going to be a Crown Vic. Perfectly fine to the way I know the vehicle meta file is going to be set up. It'll still work for this, meaning the handling ID to keep the car from flipping on you. So that one's fine. However, if you go to place 2, let me click on this, there's going to be a Tahoe in there. It's a beast. This is not meant for place slot 2. It will not work. You can get it to work in game, but your car will flip, undoubtedly. So we need to change the vehicle meta file for this one. That's place 2. So we're going to keep a mental note of that. That's the Tahoe. Let's go to place 3, and it's going to be the FPIU slot. So we're going to make a slight change to this one. However, it probably still would work for place 3. Would not flip on you. It shouldn't, but it might. But I got handling ID that will correct it just in case it does. Let's go to sheriff style vehicle, and it's going to be an FPIS. This may look really tame to you, but it will flip on you if it is in the sheriff slot. And notice the tires over there, perfectly normal for the model viewer. We're going to change the handling ID as well on that one. The sheriff 2 slot, this one here is probably going to be safe for sheriff 2. It should not really need any kind of, calibration with handling ID. However, to make sure, I'll correct the handling ID for most Tahoes, pretty much every year model. It should work, and I'll show you how to do it in the next part of the video. So we're going to change the vehicle meta file on this as well. And we're going to go relatively fast, so it doesn't make the video too long. So that is an FPIU as well. Here's the place 4 slot. Should probably work for place 4, and it should probably work fine. So we probably won't need to change the handling ID on this one. So now let's go to the vehicle meta file. I remember we already saved that as a favorite. Vehicle meta file here. We're going to make a change to this file right there. Now you don't want to double click. You want to right click and go to edit. That is how you edit this file. Now remember, our place 2 slot is the Tahoe. So the best way to do this is click right here at the very top and then do left control F to search. And we're going to find place 2. Type in place 2. And notice it's finding a place 2, which I do not want that one. So I'm going to press F3 on my keyboard, and I'm going to keep scrolling down until I get to right there. So right now the handling ID is set to police 2, which is what it's supposed to be according to Rockstar. Now this will cause my vehicle to flip because it's a Tahoe. It'll just flip around the corner if you're going high speed. So I'm going to go ahead and link you to a thread that is on the LSPDFR.com site. It'll help you with the handling IDs and it'll help you better understand what I'm doing here. So I just happen to memorize all these over the years. So what will work for a good Tahoe is a ball or two. So you don't have to remember all this, but you can follow along with the video. But if you go to that thread, it'll help you have a better understanding how to do the handling IDs. So remember what I did right here is I just double clicked here, police 2. We're going to change this to ball or two. Now, it does not really need to be in upper caps, but I went ahead and just left it like that. Now, if you misspell this, if you accidentally forget the R, your game will crash. So you have to be really, really delicate with the way you spell things. It's extremely important. If you also have a space like this, then it will also crash your game. So you want to make sure there is no space and it looks just like this. $2, add the R, and it looks just like that. Now, that is for a Tahoe only. Now, if you're interested, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this video because it's already getting too long. If you're interested in getting more intricate numbers and some good values that I have personally, then you may want to look at my Patreon. Once again, I go through audio files to help you with engine sounds to make this sound like a Tahoe. And also go through audio files to help you make a charger sound like a charger. So I'm not going to do it in today's video because that is on Patreon. And once again, it is set as low as possible at $1. And you would make corrections right there, but I'm not going to talk about it in today's video. We're going to move on to another vehicle. So we're going to go back to the very top again, just so we're making sure we're in the right spot. And we're going to go to place 3 this time. So we're going to take out the 2, replace it with a 3. So notice it found it pretty fast. So right now, this is the FPIU. Now, typically a FPIU, the Ford Explorer, will work pretty well with place 3. However, if I really want to make sure it works well, take this handling ID, I'm going to double click. I'm going to name it Gressly. Now, it's really easy to misspell this word. In fact, there was a car modder just recently on the LSPDFR.com site that uploaded their packs, and they upload about 5 or 10 packs a week. I think you guys probably knew who I'm talking about, but he misspelled the word Gressly in his download, so he had it as Gressly, and that will crash your game. And people come to me wondering why their game's crashing. Well, you have to be really, really careful what you download and what you install. That is why I always suggest go buy the higher, lower LOD fix, vehicle meta file, and you come back personally and make sure things are spelled correctly. So it should be Gressly. That'll be good for almost every single Explorer that I've ever used. It'll work just fine. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next car. Let's go to the very top again. It's always best to get in the habit to go up here. And remember the police 4 slot, in my opinion, is going to be fine. It's the Crown Vic. You can just leave it as it is. And then we're going to move on to the FBI slot first. We're going to FBI. Now remember the FBI slot, we have another FPIU, not to confuse you, but we have an FPIU and the FBI. So we're going to highlight FBI. We're going to take that out. And we're also going to call it Gressly. Now let's move on to the sheriff. We have an FPIS in there, remember? So here's the sheriff. This will cause the vehicle to flip. And for a FPIS, a really good one, this is just an example. And we'll go with fugitive for our FPIS today. Now, it depends on the year model. There may be one that's the fugitive may not work really, really well for, depending on the year model. So it may be slightly off, but for the most part, I think it'll work for most every single FPIS out there. And it works pretty well for my game anyway. But you can go with fugitive as a good starting point. And then we're almost done, guys. We're going to go over here to Sheriff 2. It found it right away. Now, FBI 2 will probably work for a Tahoe. I haven't had any issues, but just in case, we'll go Baller 2. Baller 2 is a pretty good one for most Tahoes. However, FBI 2 would work perfectly fine as well. And I do believe that's going to cover all the vehicles we installed today. Once again, if you're confused about the handling IDs, you can always look at my Patreon. I go through it step by step in great detail. That also give you more handling IDs than what they give you on that thread that is on the LSPDFR.com site that I'll link down below. So we're going to save this. Make sure you save that. And remember, I also covered the audio hashes, which will help you with the vehicle sounding files. Like a good one is for the Charger, and there's a bunch of other ones out there. If you really want to get that really good muscle car sound, it's all covered under Patreon video. And so now with all that being said, the last thing I want to show you is what they look like in game. So we're going to go through this really quick and just kind of give you a quick, brief demo. Let's go. Okay, here we are inside the game. Now, there's a couple ways you can spawn the vehicles. If you don't have a trainer or if you just don't wish to use a trainer, you can always do it with the Rage console. You can just press F4 and just type in, like for example, spawn police. do it that way. That's probably the easier way to do it if you're just wanting to get one vehicle. Now, to make this video go a little bit faster, I'm going to use a trainer called Simple Trainer. Well, because it's simple. We're going to be spawning these in really quickly and activating all the lights at the same time. We're going to do a police cruiser, police 2 slot, police 3 slot. Here's the unmarked cruiser, which is police 4, the sheriff slot, and then sheriff SUV. This is the sheriff 2 slot. Okay, and so this is what the vehicles will look like. And, you know, all the way down from down here to the FBI slot, technically. And so the lights look really nice. Now, I'm using a graphics program called NVE, that's Natural Vision Evolved. So I have more control over how bright the lights are. So for more information about that, you can always visit my Patreon. But this is what it would look like right here. I won't go through all that too much, but I can make it 0. And notice the lights are off, all the vehicles. And then we'll say 500 to bring all the lights up, just like that. But for more information, you can visit my Patreon. It'll tell you how to do that. And now to make sure the lights are functioning correctly, let's get into a good one. You want to make sure your settings with GTA 5, okay, itself. You want to press escape, go to the settings, go to graphics, and then click anywhere down here, and then go all the way down the very bottom or towards the bottom. And you want to make sure your post effects settings are on very high or ultra. There's not a big difference between, you know, to be honest, between ultra and very high as far as what the lights look like, as far as more vividness. Is that a word? I don't know. But to make them more vivid, more light appealing. So I found that very high is fine and ultra is fine. So you could use either one of those. But I won't go through all the rest of these details. But the post effect settings is a must. You need to have that like that. Otherwise, the lights will look washed out and dim. And if they still look washed out and dim, that is because you installed a graphics mod and you forgot to install, you know, another visual setting on top of that graphics mod. For example, like Better Radiance that we installed earlier. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details of all the lights to make them do this and to make them do that and to make them do that, because that is in the documentation that is already provided. If I did that now, it would make the video another 45 minutes, so I'm not going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and head on out, guys. If you got any use out of today's video, be sure to hit the like button. Leave a comment down below, because, you know, yeah, you know, it's YouTube. Now the rankings are on YouTube. And I thank you guys. And if I earned your subscription, well, that's subscribing. We'd love to have you over here. Till next time, take care and stay safe.
Hey there, now everything in this video is time-stamped, so before you ask your question, ask yourself, did Benzo cover it in the video? You're doubting yourself, huh? Well, read the damn description, you nubcake. Kisses.